Hey folks, my name is Dmitro Ivanov and this is my YouTube channel where I explain programming concept and help you to be a better developer. And in today's video, I'm super excited to talk about the unidirectional data flow. Actually, I remember a few years ago when I learned this principle, it helped me to complete the puzzles of how to write complex applications with a lot of features in a clean and robust way. Plus, it helped me to clear coding interview rounds in companies such as Google, LinkedIn, Facebook, and others because the interviewers saw clearly that I know how to manage the state of the applications. So let's jump into the details of this concept. And in the first part, I'm going to talk about the theory behind unidirectional data flow. And the second part is coding part, where I will walk through the simple movie app, and it's important to understand how to apply this concept with the real examples. So, as you can see now, we have three components in the unidirectional data flow. It's a view, actions, and state. And as you can see, the arrows goes from view to actions, from actions to state, and from state to view. Here, important to understand is that if you want to change something in view, you need to make an action that will modify the state, and then the view will render the latest state, and that's how we need to do any kind of UI modification. For example, let's say that you have a icon that shows that something is favorite or not favorite. What's going to happen is that whenever you click on it, we're going to make an action that will change the state, and between the action and state, we could go and do HTTP call, or we could go into local DB and change the state there, and then we combine the state, and this state will be rendered by the view, and the user will see that let's say that the movie or anything else is favorite or not favorite, and so on and so forth. And this is very important things to understand, because people make a lot of problems when they just change the UI, and then let's say the rotation of the screen happens, and what's going to happen is that we don't have the latest state, and we just changed the UI, but the UI is something that is temporary. The system, the Android system, can destroy fragment, and then we need to recreate the state to show the same state as it was before the rotation. So that's why it's important to make any kind of UI changes through the state modification. And in this slide, we're going to talk about the typical MVVM approach and how the unidirectional data flow works here. It actually works pretty similar, that we have a view, and the view makes actions, and the actions could change the state inside the view model, or they could also change the state in the model that eventually will be returned back into the view model, and the state inside the view model will be updated, which is the state of the view or the screen, of the page, or the activity fragments, whatever you want to call it. And then the state go back into the UI, and the UI renders the latest state from the view model. And that's how it works. The most important thing here that I want to mention is that it actually doesn't matter if we talk about MVVM or MVI or MVP. Like it's basically the same. The most important is that the UI relies on the state in order to show some kind of changes. So if you want to change something, like anything, you have a favorite icon and you want to show some kind of item, favorite, not favorite, whatever, you click on this favorite icon. The same thing, you click, you make an action, the action changes the state, and then the whole list of items goes back, and then we do some kind of if it's a UI compose, then automatically the compose will re-render just the item that was changed. Or if we are using the recycle view, then the diff-util gonna diff all the previous and the current list and just update the items that was changed. That's the most important thing here, is that any changes that we want to show on the UI should be done through the state modification. And this slide shows the comparison between activity lifecycle and the view model lifecycle. As you can see on the left and the right, we have the events, and the first event that is happened with the activity that the activity created, and on the right the view model is created. It means like, let's say we have activity A and we open activity B, and then the activity is created and the view model for the activity B is created. Then the user changes the orientation of the device, and what happened? So the activity rotated. It means that the system will need to destroy the activity and then recreate the instance of the activity. But on the right, you can see that the view model is alive. We still gonna have the same instance of the view model. Once the activity is recreated, we're gonna get the same instance that it was before. And the important thing here that we can understand that the state of the screens of your pages we need to keep inside the view model, because the view model survives the activity rotation, and that's the important part. And the same thing happens with the HTTP calls. Let's say that the HTTP call started when the activity was created, and then the user rotates the device. We still will be in the progress of finishing the HTTP call, and once we get the data from HTTP call, we're gonna update the state. And then when the activity is recreated, we're gonna subscribe from the activity to the view model, to the particular state, and then we're gonna just render the state, and we will not have any problem with the duplication of HTTP call or something like that. So, and now it's probably the most interesting part. It's a practice part where we're gonna develop the movie application. And the movie application has the features such as show list of movies. So we're gonna just download the list of movies from the network and show them. And we could show them in two different ways. We have a list mode and we have a grid mode. In grid, we need to show in one row 2 movies without description and year of the movie. And on the left side, you see the list mode, where we show the year and the description to the movies. And also we have a link like button. It's like a favorite or something. It could represent the favorite, if the movie is favorite or not. And user should be able to like and unlike the movie. And on the next slide, I will just briefly talk about the state of the application. Like on the left, you see the screen, right? We have a list mode here. In the middle, we have the state representation from the view model. As you can see, to render this screen, we need just to have 2 states. First state is the movie view states. So it will show the list of the items. And the second state is the mode. And it's live data of mode. And the mode is the enum class that could have 2 values, list or grid. And in the toolbar on the right, you could see the icon. So based on this enum, we're gonna show the appropriate icon. And that's how it is. Now guys, it's the second part of the video where we're gonna talk about the coding part. And as I mentioned before, we're gonna develop the movie application. I already developed this application before, and it's available in my GitHub. See the link in the description to this video. So the movie app, that's the app that I developed. As you can see, we have the list of movies. We could change the view mode. We could mark movies as favorite or not favorite, and so on and so forth. And that's it. The app is pretty simple, but it has some functionality that is interesting to understand how it works. Also, it's compliant with the screen rotation. For example, as you can see, I marked these two movies as favorite, then I rotate them, and then I unmark this movie, and then I rotate it back, and as you can see that in either rotation, I have the same state of this screen. That's also important, and that's what we need to understand. And as you can see, the first component that we have here is the activity, and inside the activity we get the view model, and from the view model we have two states that we are observing. If you guys remember in the first slide that I was showing, where we have a view, we have action, and we have a state. This is the state that is the screen state, and this is the action that the view the view calls, and these actions will modify the state. For example, I have a mode, and I'm changing the mode of the movie. What is happening? This icon is relying on the mode type. As you can see here, I have a compose UI here, but it doesn't matter. I'm observing the presentation type. This is the variable, and it represents by the enum, and I'm observing it as the state from the view model. But here I have a typical when condition. So if the mode is list, then I show this icon. Otherwise, I show a different icon, and that's the unidirectional data flow. When I click here, for example, this is the icon button. When I click on it, I don't change anything in the UI. What I do is I call some action inside the view model. And inside the view model, I look in my mode repository, what is the current type? I just revert. If it's a list, then it's grid. If it's a grid, then it's list. That's why it's like I'm reverting it always. But the important thing here is that I'm changing my repository. I'm changing my state. And then here I have a combined function where I'm looking into two states. First, I'm looking into movies, and then I'm looking into mode repository type, and then I'm do some kind of modification, and then I'm updating my screen state. The important thing is that I don't do any kind of UI changes without modifying the state. As you can see here, for example, I have the use case where I get the list of the movies. And for example, I can put a breakpoint here. I could debug it. And let's say I'm clicking here. One second. Yeah. So as you can see here, I have two favorite IDs, two favorite movies. So I go first. Yeah, as you can see now I have two. Now I click here. I have three of them. And then how do I do? Here I have a movie domain model, and this domain model actually is combined from the movie DTO data transfer object, because for example, let's say that the backend doesn't return me that if the movie is favorite or not. It's just on the user's device. Then I'm creating some kind of like a extended model of the movie, and then in this extended model I have also is favorite flag here. And then this is favorite flag is actually checking if this current movie is inside the favorite movies IDs. And then I'm getting all this state inside the view model. And then this state also is modified based on the current mode, because if I have it like this, then I need to create the list of let's say I have like 10 movies, then I need to create 10 list movie UI item, where in each list movie I have just one movie. And if it's a grid movie, if I'm in the grid mode, then I need to combine the list of movies somehow into the 2 movies per row. And this is the logic, and so on. Yeah. So the important thing here to understand is that I could have a different sources of truth that I'm combining, and based on these sources of truth, I'm creating the UI state. And actually, for example, I have a favorite movies repository. For the sake of simplicity, it's just the in-memory state. I have a flow that contains the set of the movies IDs that are favorite. For example, these are not these. And if I put a breakpoint here, you can see that, for example, I click here. You see from the view model, I'm calling this and I'm saying that, hey, add this movie into the favorites, and so on. So this is also the state of the application. And then I'm combining all these states, and then I'm making another state. There is UI state. And that's pretty it. That's the most important thing, that if I want to do any kind of UI changes, I need to modify the state. And then I could do many things. I could jungle with the states. I could combine 2 states, then combine another 2 states. It depends on the complexity of the screen. The more screen is the more complex the screen is, then the more states I need to have, and so on. That's it for today, guys. Thanks for watching this video till the end. The link to the GitHub project is in the description to this video. Also, I hope you got an idea of unidirectional data flow, and you will be able to benefit from it. Please make sure to subscribe to the channel, hit the like button, and see you in my next episode.